All right. The public demands it, Glenn. We're on live again, live on
All right.
tape.
All right.
Glenn,
Awesome.
have you enjoyed doing these Skype shows every happy hour?
Garrick, it's fun doing with you because it's everyone in the office and most of the people who are involved in the advocacy and business community in Arizona knows you're Mr. Trivia. You know everything. So it's fun. You're a backstop. I don't know something, which I don't know a lot. You're able to fill it in. So it's fun.
I don't know how long this show would last on network TV since you're the only guest every night.
Well, we need to get other guests. So I know you want to bring Courtney Coolidge and some others, our star lobbyists, on the show. So that probably would be wise. I think the public will get sick of me, but not so for you.
I'd like to do it old school Carson style. Maybe get David Brenner, Dom DeLuise, Burt Reynolds, Connie Selica.
I used to love that, back in the day, many, many, many moons ago, when you would have those great A+ guest hosts. It made the show fun, kept it fresh. Leno never went in that direction, and I always thought it was a mistake.
Yeah, you need the regulars.
You need the regulars, and it gives the star a chance to take some time off, recharge, and it gives the public a chance to get exposed to some other really talented people.
That's right. All right. Segment 1, border closures. We knew this was coming, Glenn. We are not going to allow non-essential travel across the U.S.-Canada and U.S.-Mexico borders. Department of Homeland Security, though, however, says that trade will continue. This will not upset cargo operations. What's your take?
Well, it's critical that we don't destroy the supply chains. And for trade and commerce, really most of the truck and cargo traffic that's coming over both the southern and northern border, as I understand it, it's business as usual. There is an important twist on the southern border because it's also my understanding that the agricultural labor that comes from Mexico will be allowed to continue to cross both ways. If not for that case, I wouldn't want to think of the pain that would inflict on our economy in southern Arizona, not to mention threaten the food security of the entire country potentially.
Right. I think there's some good news here in that the department is directing its Customs and Border Protection officers to exercise broad discretion here. It's not intended to be a total clampdown. It's to be smart. And I realize that that's not good news for cities along the border that count on sales tax revenues from cross-border shoppers, but it's not a total clampdown. So there's a little ray of sunshine there.
And the way these deals came about, first with Canada, it was done cordially as friends and as neighbors and allies. It was Minister Trudeau and President Trump locked arms on this. And that same spirit of cooperation was also there with this agreement on the Mexican border. So I felt that was very important.
Yeah. And to your point about the food security, when we're worried about how full the produce section and the store shelves are going to look, if we don't have that labor supply going back and forth, we're in a world of hurt.
Well, the food that's coming, it's delicious vegetables and fruits, and I rely on it. I mean, I don't know how I'm going to survive without avocado toast. So it was very important, not to mention the delicious tomatoes. But I do have to say, and this is a solemn note, I mean, the tourism sector in this country and in this state is just getting annihilated. I mean, they're being put into an absolute coma. So where this is really going to hurt is it's not going to allow recreational visits going either way. And when you think about the economic impact, Garrick, we know that our friends from Mexico every day on a normal day contribute $7.5 million to our economy, staying in our hotels, eating in our restaurants, and shopping in our stores. And that's gone for the time being.
Yeah. They are getting walloped. All right. Issue 2, essential services. While states are making steps to really put some, speaking of the word clampdowns, put some clampdowns in place and shelter in place plans going into effect. You're hearing from the business community that we have to be very smart about ensuring that essential services can continue. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, this is the ball game right now. If we don't get the definitions right for essential services, meaning if most states now have limitations on public events, on going out and eating in restaurants, going to movies, things like that, including Arizona. And as I've said, I believe Governor Ducey had the Midas touch on this. If we start going beyond this in an irresponsible way, we will take an economy that is certainly headed for a deep, not hopefully not a deep, but a deep temporary recession, and we
Yeah.
can send it right into a depression. So
Right.
what we don't want to do is shut down industries that do not need to be shut down, like construction, like mining, like manufacturing. And by the way, we need these goods. We need
Right.
food. We need these products to exist.
So just to be clear, you're taking a very strong pro-food stance.
I'm taking pro food. Yes, I am. I want all Arizonans to be able to continue to eat. And I know Arizona is going to be a model. And I'm just going to say, I'm going to break the news on the show. Our own Courtney Coolidge has taken a lead here. And we are, for people who are watching the program, industry by industry, we want to make sure that we don't go any bit further than we need to implement CDC guidelines and protect Arizona citizens in terms of stopping otherwise productive economic activity.
Right. That's exactly right. All right, segment three. We did a public affairs committee meeting today at the chamber. It's a closed meeting, so we can't get into it. We did have a special guest, though,
Yeah.
Representative Jeff Weninger. Give us a sense of what you heard today, the tenor of that conversation. He's a restaurant owner. He is especially vulnerable during, economically anyway, during this time period. What did you hear?
Well, Representative Weninger, who has dilly dally and is a great business person in this state, is always calm, cool, and collective. He's one of our most thoughtful state legislators. He's done a lot of innovative things in terms of blockchain and regulatory sandboxes. So he's a very forward-looking guy. But what we heard in terms of the impact on small business and the restaurants, it's hitting right now. This isn't like going to happen tomorrow or next week. It's already happened.
Right.
And he's had to retrench somewhat. And a number of his colleagues have already closed. So, Garrick, here's the deal. The U.S. Congress, and I give the Congress a lot of credit, they've moved quickly. They've passed two COVID-19 related bills, one dealing more with getting research dollars, one dealing with workers that are sick or have been displaced with unemployment insurance, as well as additional testing. But next week, it's the Super Bowl. It's the one that's going to deal with the economy. And they've got to go big. They've got to go 1 trillion to 2 trillion more if necessary to make sure this economy doesn't collapse. And we started the show talking about tourism. This is going to have to be a bill that helps our small businesses get liquidity. It's going to have to help the economy across the board. But there's absolutely going to need to be a special focus in those areas that have been most directly hit, and that's travel and tourism, including our airlines.
Well, let's talk about that. Let's segment four, the big relief package that we believe is coming. As you said, your message has been go big or go home. So reconcile that a little bit with there's a publication in town. It's a nightly newsletter. They gave you a hard time this week saying Glenn sounds like a Democrat. They were teasing you. But talk about the need for governor to step up big time here.
Well, first of all, this is not a Republican or Democrat. I don't care. People have called me all sorts of colorful names, and I encourage them. It's a free country. This is one we need to be unified. No, any good idea should go forward. And some of the most thoughtful conservative commentators, like Hugh Hewitt, who I love, has basically said whatever Congress thinks of, they should double it. So his conservative credentials are as good as it gets. What I'm talking about, people are hurting right now. And what I like about, from what I'm hearing about what's being discussed, particularly Senator McConnell's bill, it includes a very important section that Senator Marco Rubio from Florida has put together. And the gut of that section is to provide 2 or 3 months of bridge dollars for small businesses so that they can stay afloat and that they can keep workers employed.
Right. Something you've talked about, that we have to be careful about not drawing parallels to the 08-09 crash. This is not an issue of malfeasance or mismanagement or somebody trying to pull a fast one.
No, I mean, take a look at it. I mean, again, the tourism industry was just growing so beautifully in Arizona and across the country. Airline industries were healthy. We were getting new nonstop flights. We just in the last year, a new nonstop flight on American to London, new extended service from Phoenix to Frankfurt, new flights to Canada, new flights to Mexico. These industries were doing very, very well until the coronavirus hit. So once we will get past this, but I want to get past this where we have an airline industry. I want to get past this where we have a viable tourism industry. And we have to understand that these industries, whether they're big, small, or medium, they're employing a lot of human beings.
Right.
And these human beings will be out of work for an extended period if we don't jump in. I mean, Garrick, 300,000 jobs in Arizona connected to tourism. 300,000. Right.
Yeah. That's a lot of paychecks that depend on visitors, and visitors who can't come, not because they don't want to, but because they can't. They're told they can't. It's a very it's a terrible situation for the industry.
Well, I'm encouraged. Our Governor Ducey and his team have been handling the situation extremely well on the state level. I have nothing but respect and praise for the work of Senator Sinema and Senator McSally in terms of understanding the seriousness of this from an economic point of view. And I know they're going to make Arizona proud next week as Congress moves forward with a bill where the stakes are the American economy. Those are the stakes.
Yeah, that's right. All right, let's wrap it up. It's Friday. How are you going to handle this weekend? Are you going to go outside? What are you going to do?
So what I try to do, Garrick, is I try to walk a lot. Walking makes me feel good. It's the best types of exercise. And I try to eat well. I try to stay hydrated and talk to a lot of people, talk to loved ones, talk to friends. And as they said in that great Apollo movie, be part of the solution and work the problem. Right. How about you, Garrick? What are you going to do? What are you and your family going to do?
I will try to get outside. I've been going outside in the evenings, walk the dog, that sort of thing. It's weird because, like you, I live in a residential neighborhood, so it's not like the place is teeming with people anyway. But you do see fewer people out just doing that normal stuff. Obviously, not a lot of people out on the roads, but even walking around, a lot fewer people.
It's interesting because I'm just really walking around the neighborhood, and I would second those comments. And I do believe it's very important for people to get out, get sunshine. We've got 300 plus days of sunshine. Get your vitamin D. But probably at this point, just make sure you just don't get within 6 feet of anyone and don't sneeze on anyone.
That's right. If we can avoid that, we're going to be okay.
We're going to be okay. We're going to get to this is the greatest country in the history of the world, and we're going to come together and get through this, and we'll be a better country after it and more united.
That's right. And Glenn, I hate to end it on a bummer, but you probably read that Major League Baseball canceled the Diamondbacks series in Mexico City.
Well, they will play there at some point. Right now, it's the right thing to do. I appreciate what the Diamondbacks are doing, and all of our sports teams are doing as great community leaders. But there will be a day. I know that I'm going to be in Mexico City one of these days in the not too distant future, enjoying baseball, and instead of beer, I'm gonna have more than one tequila, and I'll put it on social media.
That'll be a time worth celebrating. All right, that's our last hit for the week. We thank everybody for tuning in. Glenn, I have a feeling we're going to do this again on Monday.
See you on Monday. See you on Monday. Have a great weekend, Garrick.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night.